Valentine's Day is here.
Yay.
I feel like I need to insert Loki's
Your savior is here.
Yeah, he ended up being correct.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to start off. I have to start this off with the best Valentine's thing ever.
Oh.
So this was the Valentine's Day while your dad and I were engaged, but before we got married. Okay.
Okay.
So he was a general manager at a Dunkin' Donuts, and I was one of the employees there. That's not how we met, but that's one of the periods of our life. That was our working arrangement.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I was one of the employees who could make deposits at the bank. Mm-hmm. That's just important. Just a little thing to know for this.
Okay.
It'll come into play later.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
So it was Valentine's Day. And we had plans, but your dad went home before the end of my shift, right? And, you work at a fast food place, you're going to smell greasy and stuff, and if you're going to go out, you want to shower and get ready. Yeah. So I was getting ready to leave, and your dad was like, can you take the deposit to the bank on your way home? I was like, oh God, I'm going to run out of time to get ready, blah, 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 And so fine. So I took the deposit over to the bank, and the person behind the teller gets this huge smile on her face and hands me this ginormous card. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's this? And it had a rhyme on it, and it was clue 1, and it was basically it was a little decoder thing of how to find clue 2, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. And so I don't remember the exact order of things, but I think the next one was the Pennsylvania Bakery, which is a really good bakery. Shout out to the Pennsylvania Bakery in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. It's really good. And so I was supposed to go there, and I think I was supposed to ask for Teddy or something, and I was like, and I'm an idiot because I do not recognize that this is the beginning of a romantic scavenger hunt, right?
Yes.
And I'm just irritated because I'm I need to get home and shower because I smell like fryer grease and whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm irritated. So I stop at Pennsylvania Bakery, and I'm supposed to ask for Teddy, and the person's hee hee hee, and brings out a teddy bear, and then it has another little poem, and it's go here and ask for this person. It's one of them was go to Blockbuster. This is when Blockbuster Video was still a thing.
Oh my gosh. I think there's one left. I think there is still
That's right.
one left.
There's still that one in Alaska or something that has what is it? It's Russell Crowe's something
I don't know.
underwear or something. I don't know. It's something from Gladiator, I think. Anyway, sidebar. So it was go to Blockbuster and ask for Audrey. And so I get there, and there was an Audrey Hepburn movie. I think it was Roman Holiday. And so Roman Holiday on VHS is what I'm seeing. So just a hint to how long ago this was. I'm really dating myself here. And then it was go here and ask for this. And it was another place. It was I got candles, and another place. And I got, at
so Dad sent you on a grocery run.
Yeah, he did. That bastard.
For your own Valentine's Day.
Yeah, he made me pick up my own ingredient. That's another way to look at this. The jerk made me pick up my own stuff. But at Pennsylvania Bakery, the teddy bear was holding onto a loaf of bread, and another place I got candles, and I think another place I don't remember. That may have been all the places. I don't know. But I'm still thinking we're going out. And so I'm this is cute, but I'm also frustrated because I'm oh my God, I need to so because it's delaying me, So I get back to his apartment, and I was just planning on showering at his apartment. We were going to go or whatever. I get there, and he has drawn up a bath, and he's in the middle of cooking, and he's I just thought we would have a picnic here in the living room. And, he's like, but I made a bath for you so you can relax in the bath while I'm cooking, And it was just like, it was the sweetest thing. And so like he had like, and he had all this stuff like deck out in the bath. So it was like, and so I did that and he cooked, and then we watched Roman Holiday and had a little picnic by candlelight while we were watching Roman Holiday and like eating dinner and, in the living room. And it was really cute. It was a very, very, very sweet thing. And I was just like, you're never going to be able to top this. And he's like, yep, I've peaked. I'm like, and it's so funny because for like years after I would tell that story to people and the guys would be like, dude, you're making us look bad. They're like, oh God, man, just, oh, you suck, But yeah, it was really cute. Like the amount of time he must have spent to put all that together.
Sometimes you just get that little like kick of passion that you just want to really go all out.
Yeah. And what's really funny is that your dad hates holidays. And so like, we don't really do a lot of stuff on holidays. Like we don't really exchange
hates
gifts.
Holidays, but he loves you.
Oh, I think I'm gonna puke a little. But I mean,
wow, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What a visceral reaction. They tell you that dad loves you.
I just meant because of how you were like, he hates holidays, but he loves you. But yeah, so it's kind of funny because like we don't really do that stuff for holidays. We don't really tend to exchange gifts that often. We did this year, but like kind of spontaneously. And
I think Valentine's Day is like my second favorite holiday after Halloween.
Really? It's so funny because we don't really do anything for Valentine's Day anymore. And and both of us are kind of like, it's like now we are like, it's a greeting card holiday made up by, like,
yeah,
like it's made up. You don't have to do anything. Like it's, the obligatory action of it is
gosh,
like,
and those like chalk candies are hell.
Actually, I really like the little hearts.
Those are
little
disgusting.
chalky hearts. I actually kind of like those.
I feel like I'm actively eating chalk.
I don't think I've ever...
I just don't like that texture, though, in general.
Outside of that year, I don't think I've ever been like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, we have to do something. I've just never, like, felt like Valentine's Day is something we need to feel obligated to.
I don't think Shelby and I feel that way either, but we just like to do stuff. I mean...
Maybe because your dad like knocked it out of the park so hard that on that Valentine's Day it was like, well, I'm good. It's kept me good for 27 years.
Yeah.
So 28 years. So maybe I'm good for like 30, and maybe like after a few more years, I'll be like, all right, you need to do something for Valentine's Day again. But yeah. I don't know. Is there any sort of like generational thing that you've observed with your friends with Valentine's Day? Like,
I mean, with my friends, no, we weren't really the dating around types in high school. Mostly because it was a small school, so everyone knew everyone. That didn't stop some people from dating around, but
sure, yeah.
It was like, I already know you, and I know I don't like you, so not like that. That's rude, but for some of them. But
that's funny.
And I'm not really on social media, so I don't really.
Yeah, I honestly am really curious because I know that there's a lot of generational differences with like things have changed over time with views of sex and having children and family, and I'm curious like how that translates also to romance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like one thing that has probably changed is before it was probably a guy always doing something for the woman.
Girl, yeah.
But now I feel like it's pretty, if it's not even, then it's woman doing something for the guy, or both of them do something,
or they just decide together like, oh, we're gonna go for a nice meal or something.
Yeah
I do think there is like the whole like move towards equality has changed the idea that like, oh, the man has to like romance the woman kind of thing, as far
Thank
as
goodness.
heterosexual relationships go. So maybe those expectations are lowered.
I also don't know if this is like a newer thing or not, but I remember the whole like secret admirer thing that we would always do in school on Valentine's Day, where it was always like you could buy.
Oh, like,
Like-
buy the flowers.
No, you. I think it was candy. I think you.
Oh, candy.
You'd
I
buy
guess
it.
depending on school.
Yeah, you'd buy like a bag of candy, and then it would be sent to, like an
Yeah.
anonymous or from an anonymous person to you or something like that, and which was kind of weird because I mean a lot of it was just like some people wouldn't get any,
Yeah,
and then that's really sad.
which sucks. Yeah,
And then some people would get a lot just because
they're
it's-
popular.
No,
or...
it's just a bunch of girls that are giving each other candy. So, and I'm like, at that point, just buy your own damn candy.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I've seen the candy. I remember at some point there were flowers in one of the schools I went to. There were flowers, and then of course when you're younger, when you're in like the little grades, everybody does the whole like get a Valentine for everybody in your class kind of thing.
yeah,
But yeah, it's such a strange. At least Valentine's Day makes more sense than Sweetest Day, which just is like
that's just,
Valentine's Day revisited.
yeah, I don't really understand that. People like genuinely defend that holiday and be like, yeah, this holiday is like better or
It's pointless.
the same
It's just
as,
a greeting card holiday.
and I'm like, but it's like, it's the same thing.
It is. It's like Valentine's Day, but in October.
Yeah, and then you have Thanksgiving, which is the other part of Sweetest Day.
Thanksgiving
Yeah.
is part of Sweetest Day.
No, I just meant it's the other part. Like if you are saying, oh, Sweetest Day is just to like do it for all your friends too, and not just your like loved
Oh,
ones.
is that what they say about Sweetest Day? Is like
I think
also about
so.
friends?
I think
I thought
so.
it was just about relationships.
I don't know. It's confusing.
Well, let's look it up. What is Sweetest Day? Sweetest Day is a holiday. It is a day to share romantic deeds or expression. Oh, and acts of charity and kindness. Okay. There's so many days now, though. Like, I mean, in addition to like sort of the major holidays, there's all these like National this day and National that day. And like some of them I think are kind of funny, like, you know, like National Talk Like a Pirate Day, you know, National Talk Like Buddy the Elf Day, like answer the phone like Buddy the Elf Day. You know?
Yeah, I think Valentine's Day just is sweet, and I think it'd be fun because it's like, at least for Shelby and I's relationship, it's not like the only time that we express our love to each other. So it's not like this like super unique thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's still fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just another.
That's good for restaurants.
It's another excuse for us to get each other something.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
it's a good way for restaurants to make money, and chocolatiers and florists.
It's true.
But it does make me think about
Florist always just sounds like someone that would come and fix your floor.
a florist.
It always just sounds like someone that's like rip up the floor
What
and
are
like
you? I'm
replace
a
it.
florist. I work on floors.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean, you
God.
call roofers to get your roof repaired.
That's true.
So
But I don't call. I wouldn't when our washing machine
are zookeepers called faunists then?
faunists.
If they're florists, then wouldn't they be called faunists?
Is
If we're going off the flora and fauna.
Isn't fauna plants?
But then why is it florist?
Florist flowers. Fleur.
That doesn't track because it's not even spelled the same way.
But it's like derivative of.
But no, fauna is animals.
I thought fauna was
and flora
plants.
is-
I thought flora was flowers and fauna was plants. What is fauna? What is fauna? Animals, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, I've played so many space exploration games
Flora
that
and
they
fauna.
separate
Oh,
everything by
yeah,
flora and fauna.
So faunists. So zookeepers should be faunists.
Yes.
What about veterinarians? Should they also be faunists?
I mean, I don't know.
What about the person who came to fix our dishwasher? They were just a repairman.
Dishwasherist.
Dishwasherist. So everything should just be the thing.
The
and
derivative of the name.
So I'm if I write grants, I'm a grantist or I'm a rightists.
I'm gonna make drinkists.
You're a barista.
But if we're not doing the,
I know.
then
But
I'd
I'm
be
just curious.
Make drinkist.
Make drinkists. Then wouldn't it just be like coffeeist or something like that?
Coffeeist. But I also make tea.
Oh, fair. So why not just drinkist?
Drinkist. I'm a drinkist. It would solve a lot of problems in the English language.
Oh, I don't know that it would. But yeah, English is weird.
I don't know if anything will at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Anyways, Valentine's Day.
It kind of made me think about thinking about Valentine's Day made me think about like romance and sex and like all that stuff, and it made me think
You
about
and every other guy.
It made me think about. I was reading something recently about how your generation is having like less sex than any other generation.
Makes sense.
Why does it make sense?
I don't know. I just feel like I hear a lot of people are just not interested.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me. And like so far, the articles I've read on it are basically they have like maybe some theories, but nothing really concrete. Like no concrete answer.
I think it's just another like freedom of self type thing. Like I think a lot of people in the past felt obligated by because I mean you have those grandparents that are like, oh, when are you having our great grandbabies?
But people are even saying like premarital sex is down, which is not usually focused on procreation. You know?
I don't know.
Which honestly, I find this absolutely fascinating because adherence to a religion has also gone down over the last several decades. And like this is something that has been like extramarital sex has also like it's not just sex like within marriage or whatever, like it's like people having sex before they get married.
I'm sure even marriage has gone down.
Well, and marriage has gone down too.
Yeah.
And but I find it interesting. Like I think a lot of religious people would be like, see, fewer people are getting married and that's a terrible thing and it's a direct result of them not going to church. But also they're having less sex outside of marriage.
Yeah.
And there's less people going to church, which I think is fascinating because
it's because of the abstinence thing. It's been proven time and time again that teaching people abstinence does not work.
Okay, so now that's interesting. I wonder if teaching has gone up, like if teaching actual sex ed has increased in schools.
There's that, but it's also if the whole religion thing has gone down, then you're not teaching as much.
They're not teaching abstinence.
They're not saying, oh, you can't have sex
so people
before
aren't
you're
getting
married.
not as much exposure to abstinence teaching is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. No, that really is fascinating because I feel like every youth group I was ever in when I was younger was they were so focused on sex. Like it was just all about like making sure we didn't have sex.
I don't understand it. It's like D.A.R.E. I don't know if you remember
Oh,
D.A.R.E.
yeah.
Where they're like,
of course I remember D.A.R.E.
there's like, here's all the ways you can have sex. Here's like what happens when you have sex, but don't do it.
Well, D.A.R.E. was about drugs.
No, I know, but that D.A.R.E. would do the same thing.
Oh, you're saying it's the D.A.R.E. version okay.
Yeah, it's like, because D.A.R.E. would be like, here's where you can find all the drugs. Here are all the street names for all of the drugs, but don't do drugs.
Well, I think that also D.A.R.E. was very much like drugs are terrible. There's like, it was all very negative, obviously. Like you would want to like, logically it makes sense. Like you want to focus on the negatives of drugs. But I remember when when you were little, I spent a little bit of time in an anti-drug coalition. And so I learned a lot about drug abuse and like teaching people about drugs and everything. And in that, I learned that just teaching children like negative stuff about drugs and not being honest with them about it was detrimental. And so,
Yeah, because they just don't believe you.
right.
It's just like it's like next to impossible that something is only gonna have
Negative
negative
effects.
things if everyone is doing it.
Right. And so I remember having a conversation with you because we had friends who, like, one of their sons was addicted to drugs and was doing,
Yeah.
bad things like stealing and,
remember.
treating people terribly. And you were very much like, why is this happening? Why would they take drugs? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember having, you were like 6, maybe. And I remember having very blunt conversations with you about drugs. And you were just like, well, if they're so bad, why would people use them? And I'm like, because at first they feel good. And you were like, really? You were like, oh. And I'm like, yes, but then you get addicted to them. And then they start to have negative effects. And then you can't stop. And then you do this and you do that. And you were like, oh. And I still to this day feel like that was like an important early education for you, because I think if we had just been like, drugs are bad, don't do them.
And then the D.A.R.E officer got mad at me because I called him out on his bullshit.
Oh, really?
Because I remember in 5th grade we had D.A.R.E officer and everything like that, and he's talking about how they feel terrible, and I was like,
You're like,
I was like, that's wrong.
Do they? Yeah, I mean, you tell kids like that, and then their friend goes, oh no, they lied to you. Drugs feel great. Well, then you go, oh. And you don't have any of that back knowledge to go, oh, sure, they feel great at first, but then can cause all of these problems, blah, blah, blah. Like, but if you're just told, like, oh, drugs are bad, they're terrible, don't do them.
Yeah, and then I think the same thing goes for all the sex stuff as well.
Right.
Like at least I'm assuming, because I don't think I was ever taught abstinence.
I don't think your school didn't do abstinence.
We didn't do it at MV, but I also I was in Pennsylvania when they were teaching it in 5th grade. And so
I actually
Dad
think
was
you
the
were
one
also
that
sick, weren't you?
taught me.
Didn't you also happen to be sick on the other days that there were, like there were?
I don't think so. I think we were just in Pennsylvania the week that they were in.
Really?
Because I remember doing my homework there and stuff.
Oh.
But like
you kind of missed sex education at school, is what you're saying.
At least in 5th grade, yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember, or I don't remember. No, my assumption is if they teach abstinence, I'm assuming they don't teach you that people find it pleasurable too, and not just like.
I feel like that would be impossible not to teach. Like, otherwise, why would people be doing it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Although same with drugs. But yeah, I remember your dad. Yeah, your dad was very, very proud of his conversation with you, because he really, like, he said that you guys walked around the pond and that you had this conversation, and he really felt like he was like really explaining things well, and he felt really proud about it. And then at the end, he was like, "So do you have any other questions?" And you were just like, "Well, yeah. So how do people get pregnant?" Like, and he felt like he had explained all of that to you so well. But you were just basically like asked the same question. He was like, okay. I didn't explain it well. But I mean, I feel like we've talked about
ADHD, and I was just in some other land while he was talking.
Yeah. But I feel like we've talked about this before. I feel like overall we have pretty honest conversations with you about things. And I feel like, at least our little experiment of one here, you've never really gone off and been like, oh, I'm going to try all these drugs and I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to knock a bunch of girls up. Yeah. Like, you just.
What a holiday. Is this what Valentine's is really about?
Yes. So, yeah, I think for us, like, I think teaching you about stuff has given you a more realistic view, but it's an interesting thought. Like, I wonder where the schools land and what kind of sex education people are getting. And I don't know, maybe the availability of the internet has something to do with it too. Like, maybe people are less likely to be in their religious bubbles
Yeah.
and being taught all that. But yeah, it is actually, I didn't even think about that. The fact that fewer people are engaging in religion means fewer people are being given this really super negative view of sex.
I think on top of it, there is the feeling pressured to have kids in the past.
Yes.
But I think in the past there's also pressure to be with someone. And I think nowadays there's not as much pressure to be with someone.
Yeah.
And also women didn't have as much of a voice. So they wouldn't say anything. They would just...
Yep. I was actually just about to say that. I seriously wonder if one of the main reasons why there's less sex and less kids is because women are given more freedom to not make that decision. Yeah. Yeah. Not just no means no, but also like your entire value is not wrapped up in being a mother and a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also nothing in the past about like people who are asexual or non-binary or anything like that led to a level of discomfort when it came to sex. And since they weren't comfortable with sharing that with other people because it wasn't as accepted, they probably used sex to cover it up as well. Because I mean, it's the whole reason why like beards exist and stuff too. It's just to... It's all all
people
disguise.
Yeah, people are be like, some people say like, oh, being gay is like a new phenomenon because it's hip. Like there's more gay people now because it's like it's hip to be gay or something, which I'm just like, okay. And they act like it's like trendy, and so people are doing it because it's trendy or whatever. And I'm like, or it's more accepted, and so people are more free to be who they are.
Yeah. So it's also just thinking of it. It's kind
As
of
like
a funny.
trendy?
It's kind of a funny thought. Like, oh, right now it's trendy to be gay.
Yeah, so I think I'll be gay. Like that's not the kind of thing that you just like jump on as a trend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's not like, oh, I'm gonna change my entire sexual orientation because it's the cool thing to do. I think what's probably more likely is that there are way more people who are bisexual that may or may not act on it.
Yeah.
Act on the opposite,
Yeah.
because it's, because of whether or not they feel like it's acceptable. And so I think we see more of that too. Because I think there's a lot of people who, like your dad's pan, but he's married to me. So nobody's going to look at him and go, oh, he's pan,
or he's LGBT,
or he's bi, or he's anything. You know what I mean? They're not going to know because we're married and we look like a heterosexual couple.
Yeah.
And I just think there's more and more people like that just blend in.
And then there's even on top of that, there's also just a certain level of people that are like, well, aren't trans or non-binary, but they'll still dress more flamboyantly than like another man or something like that.
Yeah, they just feel the freedom to dress however they want, which is another one of those things that is like a societal, like this is what we say is okay. Like this is what's acceptable. And why? Like okay, you decided that men do not wear skirts. So a man wants to wear a skirt. Why does that? You made that decision. Somebody made a decision along the way, like, because it didn't used to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times like, and I mean, even look in like other countries where they like everybody's in robes or something, like there's that you could argue that's a dress, you know what I mean? Or kilts in Scotland, or,
I was really about to say that.
or how, wigs used to be a major thing, and tights and high heels used to be
those ugly wigs.
Well, I mean, like, and if you look back at the like founding fathers,
Parliament,
the way they dressed people now would be like, oh, you're not a man, even though they were like our founding fathers, blah blah blah. So
Yeah, bring Shakespeare up in here.
yeah, I mean, it's just
He was like the older Michael Jackson.
it's just what does that mean?
Just the way he dressed.
Oh, he wore one glove.
Or what?
One glove. That was
Oh.
like the Michael Jackson thing. He
It wouldn't
wore
surprise
one
me.
glove. But yeah, it's just such a strange thing. But another thing I read said it could have been like COVID. The idea, getting back to the whole like Gen Z isn't as like romantically inclined. It was saying like COVID kind of slowed down the development of people. Like fewer people in Gen Z are meeting other like adult milestones. But then somebody else pointed out that it started happening before the pandemic. But that was another interesting thing. Like, and this you qualify here. Like fewer people are getting their driver's license at like the typical age that people in other generations would get their driver's license.
Yep.
And so like there's more and more adult milestones, quote unquote, that Gen Z is like putting off till later, which is interesting. I'm just like, but nobody's been able to like definitively say this is why, you know. And part of me just thinks it's the y'all are like, we don't
Combination.
subvert expectations. Like we don't have to meet your expectations.
I think it's just a combination of everything we've said so far. So it's not pointed to one thing or another. It's just
Yeah, probably.
because also just in general, there's more sexual independence than there was before.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that sexual independence also can equal not having sex. Like, I think some people see sexual liberation as having lots of sex in all the ways you want to and not feeling like you can't. You know what I mean?
I bet some of it is also porn, because now porn is way more accessible than it was in the past.
So you think porn is taking the place of... Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thought, because another thought about Gen Z was that people have more online relationships. And so maybe they're not meeting up as much. Like maybe they meet someone online and it lives in a different city, or, you know what I mean?
It's that too.
But if you see online relationships as normal, like maybe consuming porn is like another sort of mediated online.
Well, I've also seen like TED Talks that just like drives your sexual drive down as well.
Watching porn? Mm-hmm. Drives it down? Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I would think it would make you like more hyped up.
You're just not as interested anymore to
really
like do it with someone else or something like that.
That's so interesting. I would think it would get like people like kind of like hyped up and be like, hey, you know,
This is what I'm missing.
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
Because I mean, you can find whatever interests you online, and I even saw one therapist talk about that. It was funny because he was like, he's like, I hope VR doesn't get haptic feedback. Like people want haptic feedback stuff so you can like feel stuff that's happening in a VR game, like to you. And he's like, that's going to kill the like population, because everyone's just going to be doing haptic feedback.
They won't
porn.
need actual like human contact.
Yeah.
Wasn't that like I feel like there was a sci-fi movie in the late 80s, early 90s that had like, it was like a virtual sex thing. Like that was like I feel like Sandra Bullock was in this. It's Sylvester Stallone.
I don't know.
I might be losing my mind.
An interesting combination.
I know. Now I'm like, did I make this up?
I'm like, wait a minute.
Did I make this up? Or maybe it was Judge Dredd. Sandra Bullock and Sylvester. Demolition Man. I didn't make it up. It was a real thing. Demolition Man. That's so funny. I would not have come up with that name. Demolition Man. Sex scene.
Oh, you're just straight up looking it up?
Virtual sex. Yeah, it says there's virtual sex in it. Yeah.
Even younger Sylvester Stallone still doesn't look that young.
Okay, so yeah, so in this, see, I did not make this up. They each get like a thing that they put on their head, and they're like, this is how we're going to have sex. It's virtual.
That's weird.
Yeah. All right, I didn't just... It's like one of those, what do they call those things when like it's a collective, like everybody thinks it happened, but it didn't?
A mob mentality?
No. It's like people, I feel like there was like a Sinbad movie where this was a thing. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I can't remember. You can hear me typing, but I don't even know what to search for. The Mandela Effect
I was just about to say that.
Is an observed phenomenon in which a large segment of the population misremembers a significant event or shares a memory of an event that did not actually occur.
It's also a very terrifying horror game.
Is it? Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if there's examples, because now I want to remember what the Sinbad thing was. Oh yeah, that's one of the automatic fillers. Shazam starring Sinbad. That was it. There's this collective memory that there was a movie called Shazam starring Sinbad. It was about a genie named Shazam.
Okay.
And like people in my generation are like, we swear this happened. We swear this was a movie, but there's no record of it ever occurring.
That's weird.
I think maybe there was like the actual thing was like a genie movie called like Kazam with Shaq or something like that.
With Shaq. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. It is kind of a funny thing. Yeah, one of the most well-known examples of the Mandela Effect is the collective memory of a movie called Shazam that starred the actor-comedian Sinbad in the 1990s. In fact, no such movie exists, although there was a children's movie called Kazam starring Shaquille O'Neal. So that must be it.
Wow, you literally just nailed it on the head there.
Yeah, so I thought this part's funny. Even more confusing, there now is a movie series based on the DC Comics hero Shazam, although it does not star Sinbad. But it's funny because Kazam starring Shaquille O'Neal, but everybody swears it was Shazam starring Sinbad. Like that's such a funny.
I wonder if that stuff will happen less now because of the internet.
Oh, maybe. I didn't know this one. Many people remember Pikachu, a Pokemon character, as having a black-tipped tail. I could have sworn that was a thing. Never has.
I think it's black at the bottom and then it's yellow at the top.
Maybe. But
That's how I've
funny.
always remembered it.
That's funny. Oh, there's
Yeah, it's like brown at the bottom and then it goes up to yellow.
Okay.
I was like, his black tipped ears.
Interesting.
But
Okay. Anyway, sorry. Back to what were we talking about?
porn.
Oh, sure. Okay, let's do That's exactly what I want to talk about with my son.
Haptic feedback.
Haptic feedback porn.
Yes.
Oh, I think I'm good.
Being the end of humanity.
I think I'm good on that topic. I think. So anyway, Valentine's Day.
Yeah, drugs, porn, sex. Welcome to Valentine's Day.
Yeah, sounds like a good holiday.
Apparently not to my generation.
Not for your generation. Oh. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, no, our I don't know what's up with our generation for a lot of things. But man, we get accused of a lot of stuff.
Oh, the millennials got accused of. I mean, the millennials killed everything.
Yeah.
That was like always the headline.
And then
Millennials
Gen
killed
Z
this.
doesn't want to pick up any of the pieces.
No.
I mean,
You
fair
can't
enough,
afford to.
But
I mean, you can't afford to.
that's true.
What did I just read something the other day about like housing, and it was basically like y'all have no chance. Like housing is just unaffordable.
It's expensive.
If you want to own. If you want to own. And well, plus, I mean, actually apartments aren't cheap to rent either.
Are you kidding me? There's like no level of luxury that you can have if you even want to rent a place.
No, there's not. I kind of wonder if this will push. First of all, it's already beginning to push like worker revolution type stuff, which is cool. But I also kind of wonder if this will push back more into like communal living. Like maybe, well, I mean, already you and Shelby live with us.
I think we're going to see the return of multi-generational housing.
I think you're right. I mean, we're already experiencing that right now with us.
Yeah.
I mean, you two live here. And that's mostly because you can't afford a place of your own.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, the way that society is now, we have to be able to afford a car, too, which are also insane.
Right.
We have to be able to afford internet, which is also expensive.
Yeah, there's a lot more that's required, quote unquote, to live that, like, just wasn't before.
I mean, there are definitely things where, like, you can get away with not, like, getting internet or data, but it's honestly, like, so hard to live in today's life without.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be so many
People
instances.
expect you to be accessible.
Yeah, there's going to be so many instances where people will ask you something, or your job will ask you of something that you need to do on the internet or something. Even if that's something as simple as just like logging onto your banking stuff.
Right. Yeah. Or logging on to find out your schedule.
Yeah.
Like
there are some people that live without internet and they'll just go to a coffee shop or something.
Or library.
Yeah. And just sit down and do that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Especially college students.
Yeah, but I mean, every aspect is more expensive. Groceries are more expensive. You know, cars are more expensive. Gas is more expensive. Housing
Getting a job is more expensive.
Getting a job.
Because if I wanted to work at anything that needed a degree or I needed some level of education, then that means I need to pay
education is ridiculously expensive.
thousands of dollars to just go somewhere to learn things.
Yeah, college costs are out of hand.
I don't understand, because, you know, the internet was supposed to make knowledge more accessible. So I don't understand how the fuck we got to the point where knowledge is harder to obtain.
Yeah. Well, I would argue knowledge isn't harder to obtain. Degrees are harder to obtain.
Yes. Yes.
And that is, for a lot of people, what proves you have the knowledge. However, I will say I'm seeing more and more companies eliminate the whole you have to have a bachelor's degree requirement.
A lot of stuff is experienced now.
Yeah. And you can work your way up. I mean, even, you know, your uncle did that, worked his way up doing computer stuff and, you know, never got a college degree. And that was at a time when college degrees were more expected, you know. So it's still possible. It's still possible. It's just... you know, there's still some places that aren't on board with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel bad for your generation, honestly, because it's just everything's going to be hard. Like, it was harder for us. It was harder then for millennials. And then it's harder still for, like, I feel like it's gotten progressively worse for each generation. Like,
hey, well, at least we were progressive.
Yay. Like, even like within my generation, I feel like older Gen Xers
maybe that's also why
an easier time.
Our generation isn't having kids. We just don't want to fucking
put people.
Them. Well, we just don't want to put people in this damn world.
Well, I mean, actually, that wouldn't surprise me, because I think your generation is also like the most depressed.
Yeah,
but it's just not. It's not as easy. My parents' generation had a much easier time affording housing, cars, everything, and then. Even though things have gotten more expensive, they had way more time to build wealth, you know, to be able to withstand. Now, some of them are having their retirements depleted and stuff like that, and that's bad. But
a lot of stuff now is luck.
Oh my gosh, so much is luck. And it's just so irritating to me when people don't recognize that there is a factor of luck involved. Like, yes, you can make a lot of smart decisions and put yourself in a good position.
But then you could be unlucky and
yeah, you could get laid off.
Yeah.
And then have a difficult time finding a job.
The amount of people that have worked their way up and then AI came through and people got fired just because AI came through.
Oh my gosh, there's so many firings. Google.
None of those people did
Apple,
anything wrong.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and
just things change.
Yeah. And now a lot of them I bet had a really hard time finding a job because you just had thousands of people get laid off across a shit ton of companies.
Yes.
And they're all
tens of thousands,
trying to find a new job.
Yeah, I mean, I experienced that. I went a year and a half without work, and
took me a few months, and I'm a frontline position.
Yeah.
Although I was right that as soon as it hit January, it was going to be easy because all of the
college students went back to school.
Yeah, and so all of the places that I had applied to were like, "Hey, are you still interested?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So. Well, we'll do what we can to help, but I really feel bad for your generation.
Thanks, I guess.
Can't afford stuff and not interested in having sex to relieve the stress that comes with all that stuff.
We're just walking bottles of stress.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're at the same. I think my generation's at the same mental capacity, on average, as the worst asylum patients in the 70s.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Although asylums also kind of took people that didn't need to be.
Oh, well. That's a whole other topic, yeah.
So who knows which part of that is the bad part, but.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. Well, this was an uplifting topic. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Go eat some candy hearts and
no, they're gross.
Give a flower to somebody or some chocolates. Eat some chocolates.
Yeah, there you go. Chocolate's always good.
Woo.
Unless you're allergic, then sorry.
Oh yeah. Then I really feel bad for you if you're allergic to chocolate because chocolate is amazing.
Yeah, no kidding. Way to rub it in.
Yeah. On that note.
Well,
time to go.